Thank you. Good evening to all of you, and welcome to the session now. In the previous classes, already last class, also I discussed about the various aspects relating to job evaluation and how it will be, the process of job evaluation, techniques and importance of job evaluation process, and what are the various methods of job evaluation, and how this job evaluation is useful, and which method is best suited for the process of job evaluation, and all these aspects that we have discussed. And this is block number 4, lesson number 13. In the page number 225, this topic is discussed. As I told you in the earlier class also, basically I am covering about each block 1 or 2 units right beginning. Then we will go back to that, all important aspects that I am thinking to cover at the very beginning of the classes, so that you can have time to prepare for the topics, and then finally you will be able to understand and present in an excellent manner in the examination, as well as you can understand better with this particular subject, right? Okay. As a matter of practice for those, as a matter of practice, and to facilitate those who are not able to understand or not able to attend the class previously, for their benefit, I feel that it is important for the process of recapitulating what we have learned in the previous class. Then we will proceed for the today's lecture. Within 5 minutes, let me go back to the previous lesson, that is also job evaluation process. Actually, job evaluation is based on job analysis. Already I told this one. What is actually the job analysis? That is, what is the nature of the job? What are the characteristics of the job? And how the job is having its own relative importance? And what is the job design? And what are the various aspects related to that? All these aspects always influence the job evaluation process. So, what is the nature of the job? Whether how much skilled it is, or how much skill set it is required, or it is a manual labor job, or a physical job, or a mental job, or what type of job character it is, which type of skills are very much essential for the purpose of performing the job. All these aspects that are related to that. Say, for example, a lawyer, a doctor, a chartered accountant. These are intellectual property, is very much intellectual. Intellectual capacity is very much necessary, whereas for other types of physical jobs, they need physical strength. These are the very, very important issues. So what is the nature and characteristic of the job? Then job design. Actually, in the case of the job design, we already understood that it is creating the new and how to prepare the best jobs for the purpose of, how to develop the best jobs for the purpose of achieving the organizational objectives. Achieving the organizational objectives. This is the another one. Then coming to the next one, job description. That job description tells us about the various aspects that are relating to what is the qualifications required, what is the skill set required, and how it will be, what is the various other important aspects that a person has to know and perform all these things. So roughly we can come across that job analysis is complete picture of the job. What are the skills required? What are the duties? What is the responsibilities? What type of skill set that is required? And so on and so forth. On the basis of that, what is the characteristic nature of the job? And also at the same time, what are the skill set that the job requires basically? It is the person who is having the capability. Then on all this basis, we will prepare a job analysis sheet. And with the help of the job analysis sheet, we will proceed for the job evaluation. In the case of job evaluation process, it is basically understanding the relative worth of the job in the organization. The relative worth of the job clearly states that what is the importance of the job in a particular organization. And then there are a lot of this one is there. What to say? Every job is important, right from the very class 4 employees to the highest level executive. All are important, no doubt. But how to rank the jobs among themselves? If that process is considered as the job evaluation process. And according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, it is given the page number 228. I request all the students to note down and understand it well. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics, job evaluation is the evaluation or rating of the jobs to determine their position in the job hierarchy. The evaluation may be achieved through the assignment of the points to use each job and systematic method and so on and so forth. So like that, we are going to rank the jobs in a very systematic manner. And now let me share the screen, and basing on that, you will be able to understand in a better way. Next. So this is one title page actually. This is the job evaluation, that is attempt to determine and compare the compare the demand which normal performance of a particular job makes on the normal worker without taking it into account the individual abilities of the performance of the worker concerned. We are not going to understand the job person. We are not going to analyze the person who is doing this job here. We are going to understand only the person who is doing this particular job. No, we are going to evaluate the job only, job alone. Then other objectives of the job evaluation, that is developing standard procedures for the determining the relative worth of the job, equitable wage differentials between the different jobs in the organization. That means which type of employee should be paid how much and so on, and removing the wage and salary inequalities in the employees. So normally the wage and salaries are, if they are unequal, or it is not equality is not maintained among various members, definitely it leads to the negative motivational aspect, and finally it leads to the other problems in the organization also. And job evaluation basically acts as an incentive for incentives and bonus calculations. How much bonus is to be paid, how much incentives are to be paid, and all these aspects for that job evaluation is the basis. And facilitating career planning in the organization, and how each employee should be given training to develop their skills, they develop their roles and responsibilities, how to promote an employee from one level of organization to another level, and so on and so forth. Process of job evaluation, that means perform the job analysis first of all. Already I told you about perform job analysis. What is job analysis? And then prepare job description. Job description basically tells us, already I told you, that what are the rights and duties and responsibility. Job specification clearly notes that what is required for performing a job. For example, to do an audit job, a chartered accountant qualification is necessary. To do a medical practitioner, it is required a medical field, be a doctor, and like that. For practicing a lawyer, for practicing in the court of law, then he must be a lawyer and all. Rating of the jobs by using predetermined system. So rate the jobs by using a predetermined system of fact, and creation of the job hierarchy, and classify the jobs accordingly. These are the another important areas in this. Next, there are a lot of advantages are there, and there are also problems are also there for that. And these problems and advantages, they are very simple, and you can identify them in the material book also. The advantages already is that they will provide a basis for the fixing of the job, fixing of the remuneration, basis for the fixing of the this one promotion schemes and all. And there are a lot number of problems are also there in that. Which job is important? All the jobs are important, as I told you. And how to assess the first level of job, how to assess the second level of job. Actually, is it so easy to categorize the jobs as first level, second level? Answer is no. Like that, there are certain problems also in that. And then coming to the, let us proceed to the principles of job evaluation, then we'll proceed further. In the case of principles of job evaluation, job rating principles are there. Principle of clarity must be there in that. Principle of clarity, that is another important one. Principle of the prerequisites are requisites are there. What all the requisites that are there that must be fulfilled. And the principle of uniformity. When you are assessing the job of the particular person, then particular job of a particular person, the same equal principles must be applied for all the other persons also. There should not be any. This is given in page number 13.4 in the case of the job evaluation principles, and page number 231 of your material, and 13.4 paragraph is an important for that. These points already we covered in this. And next, methods of job evaluation process. In that, there are non-quantitative methods and quantitative methods. In the case of non-quantitative methods, two methods will come. Non-quantitative methods means where there is no question of numerical values are applied for the system, applied in the system of evaluating the job. First one is the ranking method, second one is grading method. When you are ranking method, already I told you in this process, ranking method, in the case of ranking method, all the jobs are arranged in a pre manner, and the first highest level job is identified and the last lowest job is identified, and different jobs are fitted into that particular streamline. Like for example, corporate vice president, then lower, then deputy, then vice corporate vice president, next GMs and all, then divisional heads, then accounts officers. Like that, we can fit the jobs into the particular hierarchy. And first one is said to be in this case of ranking method, benchmark technique. In the benchmark technique, actually, that is what I told you. Benchmarking technique. What is the highest job that stands at the toppest level? That is one. What is the lowest bottom level job that is to be identified? And these two acts as benchmarks for the determining the various other important jobs in that particular organization. Then paired comparison technique is also comes under the ranking method only. In that case also, each job is compared with the previous job and then they will be ranked in the hierarchy or line of authority. Committee method is a committee is a third technique is that committee method. In this method, the committee is appointed to for judging the jobs and how they are useful for how they are judging the jobs and how they are important for the purpose of and what is the level of the job and so on and so forth. Then coming to the another one, that is organizational chart method. A predetermined organizational chart is evaluated in that all the jobs are fitted in a sequential manner, which shows the authority and responsibility relationship among the authority and responsibility relationship among, so that it will be clear for you. Please let me have a minute of time. This is another one. So when we are talking about this one, organizational chart method, a specific organizational chart is mentioned, and at the same time, yeah, that is also comes under the line of authority and so on. Then another method is that grading method. In the case of grading method or classification method, the entire jobs are considered as different grades. This is very much practiced in the case of, as I told you, government sector organizations. In the case of government sector organizations, grade 1 officers, grade 2 officers, like that, all these officers, they are ranked in the different grades, and on the basis of that, that same type or similar type of the jobs are given in that particular group only. That is considered as a grading job. Then coming to the next one, that is quantitative techniques are there. What is a quantitative technique? When you are using numerical number, when you are using the numbers to rank the jobs, that comes as the quantitative technique. Then point rating method is a very, very important method. In the case of point rating method, each representative jobs are selected first, and the entire organization representative jobs are selected, and on the basis of representative jobs they will be given a benchmark practice, and that is already I told you, and highest number of points are assigned for that particular benchmarks. And then under that one, each job is given what are the various different inputs or different factors or different subclasses. They are identified and they are given with the different points. Say for example, skill is one particular factor or skill is one. Then for the skill, you will assign highest rank. Then another highest point. Say out of 10, you will assign for 4 points to the skill and 3 points to the education and 1 point to the communication. And like that, you will give different points. And whenever these points are identified, all the jobs are measured. Where skill is applied, 3 points. Where qualification is applied, 4 points. Like the same points are used for all the jobs for the purpose of evaluation. And where communication skills are needed, then put 1 for that. Like that, different jobs are evaluated on different points, and finally, we will assign the value of the jobs among various jobs in the organization. Then coming to the last most important method, that is called as factor comparison method. In the case of factor comparison method, it is most scientific method where different factors are identified Just like what I told you here, Davidson, excellent explanation is given in figure 13.1, page number 235. And in that, in a table form, it is clearly explained. I request all the students to follow this table and they can understand easily and they can write that particular points well. So under the factor comparison method, different factors are identified in all the jobs or common factors. Say for example, hourly pay is established for the job, and what is hourly pay? For example, an inventory control manager, that is 13 rupees 65 paisa. Job maintenance of electrician, 13.40 paisa. Like that, for each job, pay structure is first established, and out of that, mental requirement, how much percentage, skill requirement, physical requirement, responsibility taking, and working conditions. So for each one, say for example, if it is inventory control person, 4 rupees is identified as per hour. That is his mental requirement. For his mental requirement, what he is able to show, for that we are paying 4 rupees per hour, like that. And in the case of physical requirements, physical standards, then for that 1.25 is the rating given for that particular job. So whenever that particular type of standards are fixed, on the basis of the standards, we are going to rank the jobs in that. So in this particular very step one, in this method, the first evaluation committee will constituted by the representative with the workers as well as the supervisor, as well as the managers. Some people will be from the worker side, some people will be from the management side. Then coming to that, next evaluation committee selects the 25 key jobs in the organization and then set standards. So they will select different types of jobs. Say for example, 20 jobs, 25 jobs, and they will set standard for the jobs. That means setting standards means under each job, what is the criteria? Like that. Then committee selects certain factors or criteria to judge for the particular other jobs. So committee definitely select certain characteristics or certain factors which are common for all the jobs, as I told you. Then, once key jobs are identified and factors are also identified, committee members rank the jobs in their sequence, and finally, whenever which job is having a higher factor, that is identified. So, like that, this is a more sophisticated method, that is factor comparison method, but it is very costly and analysis also is very difficult. So these jobs are said to be job rating process is said to be highly complex. That is another criticism leveled against this one. So these are the various important points which a student is expected to know in the case of the job evaluation. So normally from the student point of view, job evaluation methods is the most important one. Advantages of job evaluation, problems of job evaluation, then what is the prerequisites of job evaluation, all these aspects you will be helping for a student to understand this one. So this is what I covered till now. And unit number 5, this is trade unionism. In the block 5, unit number 17, trade unionism is the most important aspect which a student is expected to understand. In the case of trade unionism, we are going to understand about what is the meaning of trade union, what is the nature of trade unions, and then theories of trade unions, whether the registration is compulsory for trade unions or not, structure of the growth of the trade unions, employee organizations, functions of trade unions, rights and responsibilities of the trade unions, evaluation of the trade union movement in India, problems of trade unions, measures to strengthen the union movement. These are the various subtopics that we are going to study in the case of that. Just 1 second. Number 1, 8. Thank you. Next. Actually, what is the meaning and definition of trade unions and what are the objectives of trade unions? We know very well in this process of understanding, most of the, in earlier days, trade union movement is very stronger. So, before that, there is no trade unionism at all. There are two factors here. So, once we identify what is trade unions and what are the other factors in it, then we proceed further. This is page number. Page number 301, 302, meaning and definition of trade unions. And it is a combination actually. The trade union is a combination association of the wage earners, association of the wage earners that is given by Sydney and Beat Webb. It have defined a trade union as a continuous association of wage earners for the purpose of maintaining or improving the conditions of their working force. So, trade union is the continuous association. That means it will emerge and it will continue for a longer period of time for the purpose of especially maintaining and improving the conditions of their working life. Normally, in the very olden days, not now actually, in the very olden days, there is a system called as slavery, and workers used to be treated very unhealthy manner or non-humanitarian manner. Worker means he should work like anything else, but the payments used to be very less, and that all things now we are seeing in movies and all. But whereas, and with that emergence of the point, because of that particular difficulties what the workers are facing, they became unionized. And they started talking in a group manner, and definitely that emerged as this one. So why they came out that? That is maintaining and improving the conditions of their working forces. So how they are working, how much they are working, and how much they are paid. Like that, the different working groups used to talk about that one, used to identify, used to analyze that one. This gave rise for the trade union movement. Actually, Edwin B. Filippo, who is the most famous personality, a trade union is the workers' organization which is established by the collective activities of the welfare of the number of social, economic, political interests and to keep them secured and for the improvement in it. Actually, trade union is the workers' organization which is established by the collective activities. So all the people, all the employees work together. They will collectively contribute for the trade unionism. It is not force. There is no compulsory for the worker to be a part of that. And for the purpose of providing welfare to themselves, that is another important aspect. And in the social, economic, and political interest, that is one is social interest, second is political interest, economical interest, and what is the economical interest? How much wages they are going to, how much improve their wage condition, wage structures, salary structures, additional increments, bonus, etc. This all will come under the economic incentive. Then another thing is that social culture, that is social behaviors and all. And then economic conditions and political interests to keep them secured for and improvement for that. And security of the jobs. At the same time, improvement in the job conditions and so on and so forth. For improving all these things, the working unions or trade unions always will fight for that. According to 1926, an amendment is that a trade union is a combination actually, whether temporary or permanent, between the employees. It is given in the section 2, subsection H of the Trade Union Act, and combination whether the temporary or permanent, formed primarily for the purpose of regularizing the interest relationship between the workmen and employers, and whom the workers or workmen, or between the employer and employees, for imposing the restrictive conditions on the conduct of any trade union business and including the foundations of two or more trade unions. So, this particular Trade Union Act has given a very elaborate discussion on that. It says that it is a combination, whether it is a permanent or non-permanent or formed primarily for the purpose of regularization in relation to between workers and employees. First of all, the relations between worker and employee should be regularized. That means there must be a formal manner. That is very important. And from workers and workmen, between the employees and employers. So between employee-employer relationship. Then at the same time, home workers and workmen between employee and employee for the purpose of imposing restrictions and conditions on the conduct of trade business. So unless we impose certain conditions on the employment, on the benefits of the workers as well as on the management, definitely there will be exploitation of the people. Then it leads to the various problems in the organization. So in this process, certain conditions which are beneficial for the economic and social responsibilities are identified and trade union. And it includes foundation of two or more trade unions also. Trade Union Act also permits establishment of two or more trade unions in the particular organization itself. Then coming to the next one. Actually, the very earlier definition is that workman and workman, that means relationship between two people, two workers, between a master and a master, that means two workers, two managers and two managers, between a master and a workman, for imposing restrictive conditions on the conduct of any trade or business in the provisions of the benefit of the members. This is the one concept that we can very broadly learn on this. Then another important element is that, so directly we are going for the important question aspect that is one. So before going to that, what are the theories of trade unions are there? Let us briefly sum up on it. Then we will go for the problems. So in this particular theories of trade union, lot number of theories are propounded in the case of theory. Social psychological approach to the Robert Hoxie. Robert Hoxie has propounded a theory. This is page number 303, paragraph number 17.3. I am giving the page numbers and paragraph numbers also for the benefit of the students, those who are attending offline, on YouTube lectures and so on. Trade unions are the outcomes of the socio-psychological environment in the workforce, and this one, business unions are identified. Then, uplift of unions is also identified. Then, revolutionary unions are identified. Then, predatory unions are identified. 4 types of unions come up. Then, sociological approach of the Frank Tenenbaum. He has applied Frank Tenenbaum. He views that trade unions are the end results of industrial society and advanced technology in according to him as snatched away by the identified workers and so on and so forth. So his view is about the final destination of that. So how the trade union movement helps the employees for providing their benefits for taking care of this one and all. An industrial democracy approach of the Webbs. So Sydney Webb and Beatrice Webb, trade unions are instruments to accomplish then resort to the industrial democracy, and it means that the trade unions come into same to ensure the achievement of democratic administration in running the industrial organization. So according to this particular Webbs, the trade union is basically for the purpose of providing democracy in the organization. What is democracy? Then the people must have freedom to speak. People must have freedom to elect their members, elect their representatives in the organization. There must be some sort of mechanism like that. And Sarvodaya approach is very, very important in this. Sarvodaya approach created by Gandhiji, that is Mahatma Gandhi. According to Gandhiji, trade unions are the reformist organizations which work to enhance the moral and intellectual standards of the workers. So trade unions are not only for the purpose of fighting with the management for the benefits of the employees, but they also bring the reforms in the employees' conditions. That is standards of labor. That labor is a dignified labor actually. Functions of trade unions, according to him, are to increase its internal strength and workers constituency and expect the employees that what legitimately rightful due to the laborers, what legally a laborer must get. For that purpose, they will fight. That is about the Gandhiji's argument in this. Then these are the various important aspects. What are explained any 4 theories or 5 theories of trade unionism? That is one of the expected questions as far as examination point of view is concerned. Then problems of trade unions. This is quite easy and understandable to you, and that is the reason why I am going to this particular context. Problems of trade unions. That is 17.9, paragraph number, page number 310. That is, some of the points may be different because this topic I have taken from the L.M. Prasad is a very, very famous book. In that, like the textbooks are there, and different textbooks will have different site headings. Don't feel any site headings which represents the overall content will be the same. First of all, the problems of trade unions are irregular growth. When once trade unionism came into existence in a systematized manner, they came with different objectives. One person will say that, oh, no, employee welfare is only important. Some person will fight for the employee benefits and higher wages, whatever goes to the organization. But irregular growth of the trade union became a major important problem. So whenever the trade unionism, if a group of people in the trade union, if a group of people in a particular trade union they are not interested to continue as a member in that. Just one second. If one group of members are not satisfied with the trade union aspect, they are forming another group. They are putting another trade union. So as a result of that, multiple number of trade unions came into existence. That became a problem again, and that became a weakness of the trade union movement itself. Weak financial position. Trade unions always run on the membership figures and any other contributions given by the various persons and so on. So weak financial position will be there for the trade union. Then smaller size will be there, small size. Normally, trade unions, when they are having small size, that means less number of people, less number of members in the trade union, then then what happens? Their strength will be very, very less. As a result of that, as a result of that, when smaller the size of the trade unionism, automatically the strength of the trade union will also be less. So they can't command or they can't dictate any terms and conditions for the benefit of the employees. This is the we have to understand. The bigger the size, then automatically the benefit will be also be larger. Then coming to the political leadership, this is already what we are understanding, we are seeing nowadays. So various this one political, yeah, political leadership. Various trade unions are mostly run by the political leaders, which are not forming part of the any of the union, any of the organization also. When a political leader is a leader in the trade union, automatically they will work for their benefit only, definitely. They don't understand or they don't sympathize the problems of the employees. So they will always look at the point of their votes, number of votes, and how they will be and all, except very few. That is one. Political leadership is outside leadership, whereas they can't understand the real problems of the employees in the organizational context. And a multiplicity of unions already I told you just now. More number of unions are there, and then inter-union rivalry is also another important problem. Inter-union rivalry means one union is always fighting with another union. There is a problem with between the unions itself. Actually, trade unions must fight for the benefit of the workers with the management, with the entrepreneurs. But what is happening here? Trade unions are fighting among themselves and how to gain number of memberships and how to make them as a bigger size of the trade union. There is a rivalry among themselves. As a result of that, they are becoming weak again. That is a very, very important issue here. Then problem of recognition. Each trade union must be recognized by the certain authorities, or registration of trade unions is very, very important. But how to get registered about their trade union, that is all difficult for them. Then absence of paid office bearers is there. So whenever who is office bearer, that is trade union secretary, chairman, or treasurer, all these persons are considered as a office bearer. In this particular stage, if the absence of this, if the no payment is made for them, they will feel it as a free service and they may not be able to put all their efforts in this particular activity. And lastly, indifference of members is there. So there is no question of any deviations in the members. That is another important problem. Opposition from the employees. Then trade unions are always opposite of the employees. That is, trade unions are not considered as a part and parcel of the organization context, organizational growth. Actually, trade unions are always not negative. Trade unions always support the. Sometimes trade unions will give full support to the management also for achieving the targets. In the very olden days, when the APS, RTC, and other firms, other corporations, they are in trouble. Trade unions, they came forward to support the health of the organization itself. So, like that, there are different aspects are there in this. And in the paragraph number, in the paragraph number 17.9, only A, B, C, D, E, F is given to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points are given. If students are able to put all the 6 points in a proper manner with side headings, that will be an excellent answer. Uneven growth, already I explained you. Smaller size of the trade unions and trade union rivalry and absence of the craft unions, that is where you cannot identify. But handicrafts, that is handmade goods, for them there is no trade unionism at all. Then demonetization of union by a political parties, then domination of the union by the political parties. So sometimes trade union problems are not addressed directly by the trade union leaders, and they are addressed by the political parties. And as a result of that, political parties will look into the problem from their perspective only. That is another important. And attitude of the employer towards the trade unions. Always we look at the trade unions in a negative way, then automatically that will become the problem for them. These are the various problems in the trade unionism. Next one, functions of the trade unions is another one. So this functions of trade unions is given to you. In industrial relations, rights and responsibilities, evaluation of trade unionism and employees function 17.6. It is broadly covering about and theories of trade unions and structure, registration of trade unions and employee organizations, evaluation of trade union movement and the problems, all this is given to you. And protection and security is the first function of the trade unionism. So as a result of that, first, the trade union's main objective is to protect and secure the employees. So, how they are able to be on the safe side? Protection of the employment, protection of the future security, and how much they are going to get at the time of retirement benefits and so on. That is one. Second one is grievance redressal procedure. Whenever grievance redressal, yeah, grievances of the employees are to be addressed at a broader stage. So each individual grievance may not be able to be considered by the trade union, but overall, what is the grievance of the different members of the trade union must be given importance in that. Then collective bargaining. What is the process of collective bargaining? Aiming at the problem and mutual consultation with the two parties, that is mutual consultation between the employers and employees. That is one. Collective bargaining, in the case of collective bargaining, two parties, that is the two parties, that is both the employers and employees, sit together and they will come to an understanding. For example, a bonus declaration, a wage determination. In this type of issues, how much bonus should be declared? Normally, employment says that lesser the bonus, always people fight for the more bonus. In this process, they must sit together instead of going for a strike or a lockout or something, which is very much dangerous for the benefit of the organization or health of the organization. They must sit together and they must come to a common consensus and they must be having an ideology in that. And adequate standard of living must be protected by the trade unions. Adequate standard of living. When a person, along with his family members, they must be able to lead a comfortable life. To that extent, the salary, actually wages must be paid to that extent. So that is one. Standard of living should be maintained by the adequate level. Adequate level. Then participation is also very, very important. Participation of the trade unions in the decision making process. Whenever any management is going to take a decision, then in such a case, trade unions must be participative in that nature. So, not only to object to the decisions, but assess the decision, analyze the decision. If a decision is useful for the organizational success, then trade unions must support that one. And that is called a participative nature of the trade unions. Then, then coming to the education process, trade unions must provide certain type of good quality education to the employees also by conducting various seminars, conferences, etc. And they must be able to provide the skill and knowledge belt and otherwise senior advice to juniors and like that they can provide a education platform for that. And the protests sometimes protesting the decisions which are made by the management harmful to the employees, they must be then a protest must be conducted, and as a result of that, the opinion of the employees will be brought to the notice of the management. Then legislation, that is legal aspects of that, that is also protected among the employees. And then welfare and recreation aspect, welfare must be protected, as I told you already. This one recreation, then every, say for example, a monthly get together like that, some recreation should be provided. And representation of the employee problems to the management is the main important aspect. So just like that, we can't leave the employee problem. Even a single employee or a group of employees, it is, if it is possible to bring to the notice of the management, then definitely it can be taken to the higher levels. Then lastly, communication. Then as I told you, it is trade union act as a mediator between the employees and the management. That is communicative process and advice. Lastly, and trade unions also must advise the management about the various aspects of the various aspects of the on the various aspects in the process of decision making. And trade unions also must provide advice to the employees also on their working, how they should work, how to improve their working condition, how to improve their work culture also. If employees work better, definitely the profits will be higher and people will come forward and so on and so forth. These are the various aspects that run. So then this is the broader aspects of the trade union is covered. And lastly, to conclude about this particular lesson, we can go for the rights and responsibilities of the trade union is also another one. The registered trade union, this is paragraph number 17.7, page number 3.8. A registered trade union has certain rights and furtherance their disputes and to clear the to declare the strike and persuade the members to abstain from the worker. That is another one. And no suit or other legal proceedings in maintenance of any civil court against any trade union. That is one. A registered trade union must exercise the following rights and responsibility. A registered trade union shall not be liable in any suit or other legal proceedings in any civil court in respect of the tortious activities done by the completion of the agent of the trade unions. An agreement between the members and registered trade unions in respect of the trade shall not be avoided, or it must be avoidable also in certain situations. A trade union member or officer has got a right to inspect the books of the trade unions. So, what will be the membership, how much money is received, and out of that, what will be the and all these aspects a trade union office bearer can definitely scrutinize. Registered trade unions have the power to make regulations. So registered trade unions are always having the powerful authority to make laws. Sorry. Anything came up? Next. So these are the various important rights and responsibilities of this. So these are about the trade union aspect. Let us briefly summarize and go for the next one. So trade unionism, out of that, nature and objectives of trade union, series of trade union, and functions of trade union, rights and responsibilities of trade union, and all these aspects are very. Evolution of trade union movement in India. This is another important question. So problems of trade unions are covered, and evolution of trade unions is that the very first phase is that in the very first phase of the trade union movement, it corresponding to the, it is given in the page number 3.309 and paragraph number 17.8. It corresponds to the era where state planning and import substitution, where public sector employment and public sector unions rose to the phenomena, and unions always and bargain structures were highly centralized. And two main federations are always there in that, and that is one Indian National Trade Union Congress and All India Trade Union Congress are only two in that time, between 1950 to 1960. In the second phase, that is mid 1960 to 1979, it is associated with the period of economic stagnation and political turmoil. Employment is very less, therefore the massive inter-union rivalries are there. So always unions used to fight between themselves for securing their employment and so on and so forth. Centralized bargaining institutions are now started fearing the pursuit to dissent from that, and they use it to fight themselves only. So individual employees, groups of employees They use it to fight for their benefits. And the third phase in the 1980-91 corresponds to the period of the segmented or uneven in economic development. In the economic development in the 1991, so just before the liberalization policies. So it has taken that decentralized bargaining process, independent trade unions enter into the wage. So all the trade unions, they became part and part. So the number of trade unions also became problem. As I told you, smaller size trade unions came into existence. And in the Bangalore public sector, two major strikes also happened in this particular period. Bangalore public sector strike marked in this phase, and interstate, interregional arbitrations, variations of the nature of the labor management regimes are very much wider. This one. Finally, in the 1991 and 2000 also, there is an emergence of the good number of trade unions. These are the various phases of trade unionism. So, this with this, almost this block 5, unit number 17 is covered in this particular class. So, just to sum up about this one, in the very beginning, actually, what is the meaning of trade union that is covered? It's a combination of main objectives of regulating a relation between the workman and master, or between two groups of that and all. Where there is an interaction between the two people, definitely there is a possibility of rivalry. To avoid that particular rivalry, certain mediation is very much required. So either he is an employer to the employee, or employee to the employer, or employer between the any two persons, certainly to reduce the difficulty or reduce the problem of any nature of the work content and all, then another trade union requirement will be there in that. Then problems of trade union is covered. So major problems of trade union is that irregular growth, political leadership, weak financial position, inter-union rivalry, and all this one. Then various functions of the trade unions are elaborately covered in this class. That is, they must provide protection. Collective bargaining must be practiced instead of going for the strikes and all. Then standard of living must be improved for all the workers, and then it must provide for the participation in the decision making process, and welfare and recreation of the employees is very much essential. Then communication the various aspects into the trade union. Then lastly, then another important element, functions of the trade union and the problems of the trade unions are covered. Now let us proceed to the another important chapter, that is unit number 18, that is participative management and collective bargaining. So out of this particular what is collective bargaining and how what is the process of collective bargaining is very important element. And it is in the 18th chapter. In the 18th chapter, participative management and need and importance is given, objectives of participative management and forms of participative management. So in the very first phase, participative management process and how it will be, all this used to be studied. Just one second. Yeah, chapter number 2. March 8th. Thank you. So in the participative management action, what is participative management actually? Participative management, workers' participation in the management. That means how far the workers are participating in the managerial decision process, or how far the workers are giving their ideas for the purpose of improving the organizational strength. So, what are the various forms of participative management? Participative management is definitely talking about that one. Workers' participation in the management is highly complex and a dynamic concept. How many workers are there in the representative board? That should be identified. Participative management and collective bargaining are interrelated and complementary for that. How collective bargaining that? In that case, also different team members are ready to discuss the problems with the management, and they will come with a solution for that. In the same way, in the case of participative management, also different members form as a team and they will represent in the decision making process in this. Then coming to the board level management is very, very essential. In the board level management, workers representatives on the board can prevail upon the top management position and not to adopt the measures. So just like that, the basic function of the board is to ensure the growth of the entrepreneurial group. Affecting the labor, consumers, and government are of secondary importance to the board. So who are the affected consumers? What is the government role? All these things are different. First of all, employers and the workers are the two main important bodies which will contribute for the board. And second one is collective bargaining, as I told you very clear that collective bargaining basically confess on the management as well as the workers. Jointly, they right to lay down certain rules, governing rules and customs and so on. And the workers' ownership is also accepted and so on. And that is participation of workers through the ownership of the enterprise. That the number of shares will be given, or certain participative rights are given to the employees, and so on and so forth. Then lastly, workers or the staff councils will be established. So workers' councils are executive bodies of the employees or enterprise. There may be one council of the entire organization or two more councils of the organization. And joint management councils also will be established. There are joint bodies consisting of the representatives of the management and also employees. The functions of JMC may range from the decision making. Sometimes it is simply advise the management or council. Like that, job enlargement and enrichment, like work committees, all these things are very, very important aspects for the participative management aspect. Then, coming to the collective bargaining process, that is getting ready for the negotiations. So, when on a particular issue there is a difference, then definitely both the employees and organizational members, employers, they must come to a consensus on this one. So, they must be ready to negotiate with each other. Then, determining the bargaining issue. What is the bargaining issue? On what basis we are bargaining? Or what is the important aspect on which we are bargaining? First of all, if you understand the problem better, that is, before that also, your mind must be ready for the negotiation. As what I thought I must get. That means there is no bargaining, there is no consensus, there is no question of collective bargaining. If you mentally fix that, what I feel is correct, what I want to get, I should get. That means there is no collective bargaining. There is no problem. There is no problem will not be solved. That's all. So there, your mind must be ready for the negotiation process. Yes, I accept. You accept. That is win-win. Or win-lose is not correct. Then win both sides. That's all. And determining the bargaining issue. That means on what is the issue we are going to fight with each other, or on what is the issue we are going to discuss with each other. So, what may be the common consultation? What is the common importance of the problem? All that aspects must be clearly understood by both the parties in the collective bargaining process. And next one, that is negotiation aspect. In the negotiation aspect, how the negotiations grows on. So, in one stage, it may not be possible to get a final conclusion. Then series of negotiations, series of continuous discussions are very, very essential in this aspect. So one time, if they are not able to reach the conclusion, they must sit again together. So within a certain span of time, actually, every day if they sit, there is no use. So there must be some time gap between them. So both the parties will come to an understanding about what they are going to get, what they are going to lose, what they are going to gain. Then they, after getting a clarity of that, then they will sit again for the negotiation, and then you must reach to a conclusion for that. Then approaching to the agreement. When once the negotiations are successful, they should go for the agreement of the concept. So they must go for the agreement between this one. Prepare an agreement in a written form, some written form always. And then rough draft will be prepared on the various mutually agreed upon concepts, and they will come with a agreement draft copy, and then with a draft copy, almost negotiation process will close down. Then formalizing the agreement into a contract. So by including various legal terms, various legal aspects, this agreement must be considered or agreement must be formalized. Then only it will be a contract manner. Then implementing the agreement is another last important step. The agreement is arrived at, but the management also must, it is actually formalizing the agreement into a contract. Implementing the agreement. When once contract is made out, then implement the agreement in the true sense of that. Actually, implementing is not just like implementing, it must be applied or it must be given with a true sense of that. So that should be very, very important on these aspects. So these are the various important aspects that we have understood. So these are the main process of participative management and collective bargaining process. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience listening all the way. Where are your technical team? Thank you. Let us close the class right now. Thank you very much.